Hello, beautiful people. How are you guys doing? Hope everybody is doing amazingly well. Welcome back to another editorial analysis, another editorial breakdown of an amazing editorial from The Hindu from April 16, 2021. And I've written down the editorial as well. Page number 1, page number 2, page number 3, and this is page number 4. And these are the important vocabularies that we've taken from the editorial, right? 14 words that we'll be learning, right? And before we learn these words and start breaking down the editorial, if you guys are watching English with Ashish for the first time, haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do it, right? If you guys like my content, get benefited out of it, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share the videos with others so that they can also get benefited. That's the least you guys can do, so do that, right? Okay, let's learn these vocabularies. All right, number 1, espionage. Espionage, it's a noun, right? It means the act of spying to get some information. What kind of information? Secret military, related to army related to a country, or related to business, right? The process or the act of getting some information secretly, spying on somebody, right? And to get some secret information related to the military of a country or related to a business, this act is called espionage, right? It's a noun. The second is annals. Again, it's a noun. It means chronological historical events, generally managed year by year, right? Arranged year by year. Third is sparked. It's a verb, right? Past and past participle of the verb spark, which means to cause the happening of something, to cause the start of something. Like his speech sparked a controversy, right? Let me just get a sip of water, if you guys don't mind. All right. Okay, the next word is probe. Probe as a word can be used as a noun and as well as a verb. As a noun, it means examination, right? An investigation. And as a verb, it means to examine something thoroughly, or to examine somebody thoroughly, right? Probe. I was working on a probe. The probe revealed a lot of secret things. Lapse. Lapse as a noun means deficiency, right? Deficiency. Generally, it is used as a noun, which means deficiency, right? As a verb, it means the passage of time between two things, right? And next is confidential. It's an adjective commonly used. It means secret or private, right? So if you're saying what I'm gonna say to you is confidential, that means it's secret, right? You cannot share it with others, right? It's not supposed to be shared with others, right? So it's generally formal. When you say something is confidential, it's generally formal, used in a formal way, right? Next is contestation. Contestation is a noun ending with shin, clearly says it's a noun, right? It means the action of arguing or disputing, right? Not agreeing with somebody. Contestation, contestation, right? Whatever I say is open to contestation, something like that. Okay. Next is preliminary, right? It is an adjective. Generally, it's used as an adjective, but sometimes it can be used as a noun as well. Meaning, as an adjective, something that is done at the beginning of an event, right? So if you call something preliminary, it is done at the beginning of an event to set the tone of that event, right? It basically works as an introduction, right? So have you managed all the preliminary expenses, right? I attempt a preliminary examination last night or yesterday, something like that, right? Next is malicious. Malicious is an adjective. If something harms your image or does something bad to you, does something bad to you, your image or your reputation, you call it malicious because it maligns your image, right? So I can say you made some malicious comments about my work or about my business. That was really unprofessional of you. Okay, next is grave. Grave can be used as a noun as well as an adjective, right? As a noun, it means a place where you get burnt, right? And as an adjective, it means serious or extremely bad. Something is grave, right? It's a very grave matter, very serious, very serious matter. Next is necessitate. Necessitate, necessary, necessitate means to make something necessary. To make something necessary. Next is erring. Erring is an adjective which means guilty. Erring party, erring officer, erring report, guilty report, right? False report. Next is revive, which is a verb, which means to make someone live again, to give life to someone or to give strength or energy to something, to revive a project, to revive a business. So if you revive a project or revive a business, you give life to it, right? You strengthenize it, you give energy to it, right? And the last is impediment. Impediment is a noun which means a hurdle, right? So if you want to do something and something is coming in your way and stopping you from achieving it, right, that's working as an impediment. That particular thing that's coming in your way is basically an impediment, right? That's how we use this word impediment. She is an impediment in my success. Okay, that means she's stopping me from achieving what I want to achieve, something like that. Okay, now let's come back to the editorial and break it down and learn a lot of things. All right, so this is the subject, probing the sleuths. Probing means to investigate. Sleuths means people whose job is to discover the truth. All right, so probing the sleuths, investigating the investigators, right? And the subheading says CBI probe into ISRO, which stands for Indian Space Research Organization. Spy case masterminds is a much needed step forward, right? All right, let's start with the very first paragraph. The Supreme Court's order tasking the CBI to look into the Justice D.K. Jain committee report on the action to be taken against those who implicated space scientist Nambi Narayana in the ISRO espionage case of 1994 is a logical and much needed step forward in ensuring accountability for the suspected framer. This is the very first sentence, quite a long one. All right, the very first thing we'll do is we'll find out the subject of this sentence. That is the very first thing we'll do it. All right, let's do it. The definite article, the Supreme Court's order. Order is the main noun. The Supreme Court's order. Whose order? The Supreme Court's order. A particular order. Using the to refer to a particular order. The Supreme Court's order tasking. Okay, so we have the verb tasking ending with ing, but is it really working as a verb? If it was, we would have a helping verb before it. If an ing form of a verb works as a verb in a sentence, it always has a helping verb before it, which this does not have. All right, that means it's not working as a verb, it's working as a modifier. That means we have not found out the subject of a sentence, of this particular sentence yet. All right, let's just keep reading. The Supreme Court's order. Which order? Tasking the CBI, giving the CBI a task to look into the Justice D.K. Jain committee, right? Order, which order? Tasking the CBI to look into the Justice D.K. Jain committee report on the action which is to be taken, action to be taken against those who implicated space scientist Nambi Narayanan in the ISRO espionage case of 1994. Here's the verb is. So this entire thing, right, this entire thing is the subject of this sentence. Quite a long one, right? Quite a long one again. let's highlight this. This is the subject of this sentence. The Supreme Court's order asking the CBI to look into the Justice G.K. Jain Committee report on the action to be taken against those who implicated space scientist Nambi Narayana in the ISRO espionage case of 1994 is a logical, right? Main verb, to be form of verb, right? Linking verb. All right. Let's find out what do we have in the subject. The Supreme Court's order, and after that we have a present participle phrase tasking the CBI to look into the Justice D.K. Jain Committee report. Right, this is a present participle phrase starting with the present participle tasking, right? So it's basically an adjective clause, a reduced adjective clause, right? So you can say the Supreme Court's order which tasked the CBI to look into the Justice D.K. Jain Committee report, we can say that, but we reduced the clause to a phrase, right? The Supreme Court's order tasking the CBI, right, that tasked the CBI, tasking the CBI to look into the Justice D.K. Jain Committee, right? Tasking what? The CBI, object of this verb, right? It's not working as a verb here, but originally it's a verb. Tasking what? The CBI to look into the Justice D.K. Jain Committee report on the action to be taken against those who implicated space scientist Nambi Narayana in the ISRO espionage case of 1994. This entire thing is a prepositional phrase. Okay, we can highlight it. This entire thing is a prepositional phrase starting with the preposition on. Okay, so on plus the object of the preposition on. So on plus the object. This entire thing is the object. It's a noun phrase, right? So on what? On the action. And the main noun here is action. The action, talking about a particular action which is to be taken against those who implicated, adjective clause, who implicated, subject, relative pronoun working as the subject of this clause, implicated verb. So clause, right? Against those who implicated space scientist whose name is Nambi Narayana, right? Space scientist Nambi Narayanan, right? A positive, essential a positive, telling us who this person is, who this space scientist is, Nambi Narayanan, in the ISRO espionage case of 1994. Right, this entire thing is the prepositional phrase, and if you want to break it down further, you can see we have an adjective clause in here, right? Who implicated space scientist Nambi Narayan in the ISRO espionage case of 1994, right? And in this adjective clause, we have a prepositional phrase, which is this in the ISRO espionage case of 1994, right? So this is the subject. Okay. Is this the verb? Is linking verb, subject followed by a linking verb followed by the subject complement, right? This is what? A logical and much needed step forward. Is a logical and much needed step forward in ensuring accountability for the suspected frame-up. Now, this entire thing is a noun phrase, is the subject complement. So, this sentence has a subject, a linking verb, which is a type of a main verb, right? And a subject complement, which is basically a noun phrase. A logical and much needed step. Step is the main noun here, right? Step. What kind of a step? Okay, let me highlight this. What kind of a step? A logical and much needed. A logical and much needed. So these words are premodifiers, right? Premodifiers. A logical and much needed step forward. Step forward in ensuring accountability for the suspected frame-up. Step forward in what? In ensuring accountability for the suspected frame-up. So in is the preposition. Say this entire thing is a prepositional phrase. preposition in followed by the object of the preposition. Here the object of the preposition is a gerund phrase, right? Ensuring what? Accountability for the suspected framer, right? Step forward in what? In ensuring accountability for the suspected frame up. So we have the subject linking verb, subject complement, which is a noun phrase, and within this noun phrase we have a prepositional phrase. We have a gerund phrase which is working as the object of this preposition. A gerund phrase basically works as a noun phrase. All right, so let's clear everything and move further. Okay, interesting. All right, next. Representing a dark, that's an introductory phrase, right? A participle phrase. Representing a dark but brief, right? Contrasting it. Representing a dark but brief chapter in the annals of police investigation, chapter, right? Representing a dark what? Chapter. Representing a dark but brief what? Chapter. So both these words, both these adjectives are referring to the noun chapter, right? Representing a dark but brief chapter in the annals, we just learned this word, right? In the annals of police investigation in the country. So this entire thing, okay, this entire thing is a modifying phrase, is a present participle phrase starting with the present participle representing a dark chapter, right? But we paused there, gave another piece of information, contrasting one, representing a dark but brief, okay, chapter, dark but brief chapter in the annals of police investigation in the country, right? This entire thing is a participle phrase, setting the tone of the sentence, right? Is going to modify the subject of the sentence, right? The case, okay, representing what? A dark but brief chapter in the annals of police investigation in the country. So it has a lot of prepositional phrases if you want to see, right? In the annals of police. Let me highlight this, guys, for you. What the heck is going on? In the annals of police investigation in the country, this is a preposition phrase, and within this preposition phrase, right, we have another preposition phrase which is of police investigation in the country, and within this preposition phrase we have another preposition phrase which is in the country. And a preposition phrase basically works as an adjective or an adverb, right? So but a brief chapter in the annals modifies the noun chapter where? In the annals of police investigation. Of police investigation prepositional phrase modifies the noun annals, right? Annals of police investigation shows its possession, right? Where? In the country, right? Talks about its location. All right, okay. Representing a dark but brief chapter in the annals of police investigation in the country. The case was, here's the main clause, the case representing a dark but brief chapter in the annals of police investigation in the country. So this entire phrase is modifying the noun, the case, okay? This is the subject, the case. It's a noun phrase, noun plus a determiner, a definite article plus a noun. Pre-modifier, noun phrase, okay? The case was based, right? Verb phrase, based on what? Unfounded, on preposition, and this is the object of the preposition, based on what? Unfounded suspicion sparked by the arrest of two Maldivian women and the claims they made in their statements to the police. Okay. So this entire thing, let me highlight this. Present participle phrase, subject, main verb, all right, and this is a preposition phrase. Let's highlight this. Okay, and we'll find out everything we have in this preposition phrase. On what? On unfounded suspicion sparked by the arrest of two Maldivian women and the claims they made in their statements to the police. Okay, on unfounded suspicion. Okay, noun phrase, unfounded suspicion that was sparked or that had been sparked. According to the time, we'll use the helping verb, right? So it's initially it was an adjective clause, but It's been reduced to a past participle phrase, right? Suspicion that is sparked, that was sparked, or that had been sparked by the arrest of two Maldivian women and the claims they made in their statements to the police. So, see, on what? On unfounded suspicion, noun phrase. This is the main noun, suspicion, and this is unfounded. This is an adjective. So, okay, main noun, okay, noun, pre-modifier, and this entire thing is a post-modifier, right? Adjective, noun, and past participle phrase, sparked by the arrest of two Maldivian women and the claims they made in their statements to the police. So now understand this one as well. This is again an adjective clause giving information about the noun claims. The claims that they made in their statements to the police. So that, the conjunction that is omitted because we can do that. All right. The claims they made in their statements to the police. So this entire clause is giving information about the noun claims. Claims, which claims? That they made in their statements to the police. Okay. This is the second statement, second sentence. Okay. All right. Interesting it looks. All right. Let's remove everything. Okay. The Kerala police arrested Mr. Narayanan based on suspicion that he was among those sharing official secrets related to space technology and missions to foreign agents. Simple. Okay. Let's find out the subject. The Kerala police, arrested is the verb, so this is the subject, this is the subject, right? And what is it? It's a noun phrase. The Kerala police. Police is the main noun. The is a modifier. Particular police, Kerala police. All right. Kerala is generally a noun, but here it's working as an adjective because it's modifying the noun police. Police, Kerala police. All right. The Kerala police arrested, verb. Okay, main verb. Arrested whom? You'll arrest somebody. You cannot arrest something. So obviously the object is going to be a person. The Kerala police arrested whom? Mr. Narayanan. All right, Mr. Narayanan. Object, direct object. Based on what? Suspicion. Okay, based on suspicion. Noun, preposition, noun phrase. Suspicion. Now this is giving information about the noun suspicion. Suspicion, so this is the adjective clause, that he was among those sharing official secrets related to space technology and missions to foreign agents. So this is an adjective clause giving information about the noun suspicion. Okay, now understand this is the entire preposition phrase. On, okay, so on, noun plus post modifier. And this post modifier is an adjective clause, okay, which has another present participle phrase. This one. Are you guys following me? It's beautiful, right? That he was among those who were sharing official. So this is a present participle phrase. It's basically an adjective clause reduced to present participle phrase. Those who were sharing official secrets related to space technology and missions to foreign agents, right? So this is giving information about the pronoun those. That he was among those sharing, those who were sharing, those sharing official secrets related to space technology and missions to foreign agents. That's sentence number 3. Simple sentence, right? All right, guys, next paragraph. After the investigation was transferred to the CBI in a matter of weeks, this is a subordinate clause, right? A dependent clause starting with a subordinating conjunction after. All right, let's highlight this. This is a dependent clause. That means the sentence is going to be a complex sentence, because it's starting with a dependent clause, right? Starting with a subordinating conjunction after. After what? After the investigation, subject. What the heck is going on? After, right, the investigation was transferred to the CBI in a matter of weeks. After the subject of the clause, the investigation, noun phrase, was transferred. A verb phrase in the passive form, was transferred, because we're not talking about who transferred it, right, in the passive voice. After the investigation was transferred, verb phrase transferred to the CBI, transferred to preposition the CBI in a matter of weeks, adverb phrase of time. In a matter of weeks, it's actually a prepositional phrase but working as an adverb, talking about the time of the action. Transferred to the CBI, right, in a matter of weeks. After this happened, the Central Probe Agency recommended that the case be closed, highlighting grave lapses, grave serious lapses, deficiency in the probe, right, investigation, and the complete lack of evidence. This entire thing is the sentence, right? A complex sentence. All right. So what is the subject of this main clause? The Central Probe Agency is the subject. All right, recommended is the verb, recommended, right? Recommended what? That the case be closed, right? This is the object of the verb recommended, and the object is a noun clause starting with a relative pronoun that, okay, that the case subject be verb in the base form. It's in the subjunctive mood because when your verb is recommend, we generally use the verb in the subjunctive mood. All right. The Central Probe Agency recommended what? That the case be closed, highlighting grave lapses in the probe and the complete lack of evidence. So this is a present participle phrase. Okay. This is a present participle phrase giving information about the entire situation, right? So the CBI recommended that the case be closed in this manner, also highlighting grave lapses in the probe. Highlighting what? Grave lapses. Okay, object of the verb highlighting, highlighting what? Grave lapses, serious deficiency where? In the probe, preposition phrase, in the probe, and the complete lack of evidence. All right, and the complete lack of evidence, again a noun phrase. All right. When the Supreme Court awarded a compensation of 50 lakh to the scientist in 2018, when this happened in 2018, dependent clause, subordinate clause, starting with the subordinating conjunction when this happened, all right, this is a dependent clause, right, starting with the subordinating conjunction when. Okay, when subject, the Supreme Court, subject of this clause, awarded is the verb, right? Hence it's a clause. Awarded what? A compensation of 50 lakh. A compensation of 50 lakh to whom? To the scientist in 2018. To the scientist, right? Object of the preposition to, right? To the scientist when? In 2018. Prepositional phrase working as an adverb. Okay, this is the dependent clause. When the Supreme Court awarded a compensation of 50 lakh to the scientist in 2018, when this happened, taking into account the damage to his honor and dignity following the arrest on grave charges and the interrogation that followed, right? So when this happened and the Supreme Court did this thinking this as well, right? So this is extra information but related to the entire story, right? Taking into account, considering what? The damage to his honor, the damage to his honor, all right, and dignity, right? Taking into account, present participle phrase starting with the present participle taking into account what? The damage to his honor and dignity, following dignity, to his honor and dignity, following the arrest, after the arrest, following means after the arrest on what? Grave charges and the interrogation that followed, right? So this entire thing starting from taking to followed, this is extra information. This is a present participle phrase giving extra information. That's why it's within commas, right? It is offset using commas, right? This is the dependent clause. When the Supreme Court awarded a compensation of 50 lakh to the scientist in 2018, it was widely expected, widely expected that police officers who framed him, right, who caught him out to be proceeded against too. So when this happened, when the Supreme Court awarded a compensation of 50 lakh to the scientist in 2018, right? Why did the Supreme Court do it? Thinking of this, right? Taking into account the damage to his honor and dignity following the arrest on grave charges, serious charges, and the interrogation that followed, right? After this, it was wildly expected. It was not wildly, it was widely, everywhere expected. Expected what? So, it was pseudo subject, it was linking verb, widely expected. Adverb, adjective phrase, it was widely expected. Expected what? Right? That police officers who framed him, that police officers who framed him out to be proceeded against too. This was widely expected. All right, expected what? So this is the noun clause, right? Working as the object of the verb expected. It was wildly expected. So the verb is in the passive form because we're not talking about who expected it. Who expected it? We're not talking about it. We're not focusing on the doer of the action. We're focusing on the receiver of the action. It was widely expected. Expected what? That police officers who framed him, right? Police officers, all the police officers who framed him, right? Framed the scientist out to be, must be proceeded against too. Okay. When this happened, this was also expected. Okay. The court formed a committee headed by Justin Jane, who is a retired apex court judge. The court formed a committee which is headed by Justin Jane. Okay. Adverb clause reduced to a past participle phrase. Okay. Let's find out the subject first of all. The court is the subject of the sentence. The court, subject, noun phrase, formed verb, formed what? You can form something. Transitive verb, formed what? A committee. A committee. So committee is the main noun here. All right. It's a noun phrase. Committee is the main noun. I is a determiner. Pre-modifier. A committee which is headed by Justice Jain, right? This is also a part of this noun phrase. This is a post modifier, a past participle phrase giving information about the noun committee. Formed a committee headed by Justice Jain. This is the object of the verb formed. The court formed what? A committee which is headed by Justice Jain, right? An adjective clause reduced to a past participle phrase. A committee headed by Justice Jain. A retired apex court judge, and a positive phrase, a noun phrase. This is a noun phrase. Renaming the noun Justice Jain, but giving extra information about it. That's why it's within commas, right? Justice Jain, who is a retired apex court judge, for what? For the purpose, right? The court formed what? A committee headed by Justice Jain, who is a retired apex court judge. For what? For the purpose. For this purpose, the court formed a committee which is headed by Justice Jain, a retired apex court judge. Okay. Next sentence. The panel's report was submitted. The panel's report. Subject of this sentence. The panel's report. Okay. Report is the main noun. The and panels are pre-modifiers. Was submitted. Verb phrase. Was helping verb. Submitted main verb, but in the passive form. Was submitted. We're not talking about who submitted it, right? The panel's report was submitted recently, adverb, recently, and the center supported. Okay, a coordinating conjunction, and that's why we have a comma before it, because we're joining two sentences using a coordinating conjunction. And when you do that, when you add two sentences using a coordinating conjunction, right, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so, fanboys is a word to remember these, right? When you add two sentences using a coordinating conjunction, use a comma before the conjunction, right? The panel's report was submitted recently, complete sentence, independent clause, and coordinating conjunction. The center, subject of the second clause, all right? Let's highlight this, subject of this clause, the center, oh God. The center supported, right? Verb, main verb, action verb, supported what? You can support something, supported the demand, object, noun phrase, the demand, noun, pre-modifier, definite article, demand for what? For follow-up action. Okay, for follow-up action, prepositional phrase. Demand, what kind of a demand? For follow-up action, prepositional phrase. Preposition, noun phrase. Object of the preposition. Working as an adjective modifying the noun demand, right? Okay, significantly, adverb, okay? And when you start a sentence with such an adverb, significantly, consequently, all right? However, use a comma after it, right? Transitional words. Significantly, the court has the court subject, noun phrase, the plus court, determiner pre-modifier plus noun, noun phrase has mandated, verb phrase, helping verb plus main verb, mandated what? That the reports contents be kept confidential while being forwarded to the CBI for a decision on how to proceed further. So this is the object of the verb mandated. I want you guys to understand this. The court has mandated what? That the report's contents be kept confidential while being forwarded to the CBI for a decision on how to proceed further. Right. So that is the conjunction. All right. Relative pronoun. The report's content, the subject of this noun clause. The report's content be kept, verb phrase, all right, in the base form. Be kept what? Confidential, right? Confidential means secret. The report's contents be kept confidential while being forwarded to the CBI for a decision on how to proceed further. This is an adverb phrase starting with while. While being forwarded to the CBI for a decision on how to proceed further. While being forwarded to whom? To the CBI for what? For a decision on what? How to proceed further. Clear? All right. Let's move to the next passage. Let's clear everything. Hope you guys are getting it. All right, and I am in a pool of sweat right now. Sweating. That's hard work. All right. Next sentence. Let's get it. All right. The element of secrecy related to secret. All right. Secrecy, noun. The element of secrecy may seem, verb phrase. So this is the subject. The element of secrecy. The element is the main noun. All right. This is the subject is a noun phrase and the main noun is the head word is element. That is a pre-modifier, definite article. Of secrecy is a post-modifier, prepositional phrase. The element of what? Of secrecy may seem odd, right? Not odd, odd. The element of secrecy may seem odd, but avoiding any contestation on its findings, which are to be treated as the outcome of a preliminary inquiry, will indeed be helpful in the agency proceeding on merits. Now, interesting. This is again a compound sentence. Main clause, the element of secrecy may seem odd. The element of secrecy, this may look odd to you, right? But, coordinating conjunction, right? This is the second clause, independent clause, but avoiding any contestation, that means arguing, all right? Contest, right? To some contest, to argue, right? But avoiding any contestation on its findings, okay? This is the subject of this clause, the second clause, all right? Avoiding any contestation on its findings. Avoiding is a gerund here. Avoiding any contestation on its finding. It's not modifying anything. It's working as the subject of this clause. Avoiding any contestation. Avoiding what? Any contestation, object of this verb, right? On what? On its finding, prepositional phrase. Preposition, noun phrase, its finding. Now, this is an adjective clause. Let me highlight this. This is an adjective clause, not with this, with this, yes. Contestation on its findings which are to be treated as the outcome of a preliminary inquiry. This is an adjective clause talking about the noun findings, modifying it. but with extra information. That's why we have commas before and after it, right? Avoiding any contestation on its findings which are to be, see, are to be important, right? Findings which are to be going to be treated in the future as the outcome of a preliminary inquiry. Preliminary inquiry, not the main inquiry, before the main inquiry, right? Preliminary inquiry. Avoiding any contestation, avoiding any argument on its findings, which are to be treated as the outcome of a preliminary inquiry, will indeed be helpful. Okay, so will is the helping verb of this subject, but avoiding any contestation on its finding will be helpful. Will be, okay, be is the main verb, will is the helping verb, indeed is nothing but an adverb, right? Will indeed be helpful. Helpful in what? In preposition, okay, and after that we'll have the object of the preposition in what? The agency proceeding on merits. So the second clause has the subject, which is a gerund phrase working as the subject of the sentence, a noun phrase. We have an adjective clause giving information about this noun findings, giving extra information. That's why it's within commas. And then we have the verb phrase interrupted by an adverb, indeed. We have an adjective helpful. Then we have a prepositional phrase which is in the agency proceeding on merits. Preposition plus the noun phrase, the agency proceedings on merits. Okay. If we break this down, okay, this is the noun, this is pre-modifier, this is the post-modifier, and the post-modifier is a present participle phrase. The agency proceeding on merits, the agency that is proceeding on merits reduced to proceeding on merits, right? So noun phrase, pre-modifier, noun, post-modifier, right? Okay, next. When it awarded compensation, the court was quite convinced that the initial probe was malicious, right? It was harmful. So when it awarded compensation, subordinating or subordinate clause, dependent clause, and this is an independent clause. So the sentence is a combination of a dependent clause and an independent clause. That means it's a complex sentence, right? When subordinating conjunction, it, subject, awarded verb, awarded what? Compensation. Now, okay, when this happens, so when you start a sentence with a dependent clause, you have to use a comma after it. When it started compensation, comma, the court, compensation, comma, the court, compensation, comma, the court was quite convinced. The court, subject of this clause, this sentence, the court, right? Let me take this one. The court, right, was helping verb, quite, adverb, convinced, right, main verb in the passive voice. Convinced what? That the initial probe was malicious, right? That the initial probe was malicious, right? This is the noun phrase that's working as the object of the verb convinced. Convinced that the initial probe was malicious, right? Dependent clause, that conjunction, the initial probe, subject, all right, initial probe, let me highlight it for you guys. The initial probe, subject of this clause, was a linking verb, main verb, malicious, subject, complement, adjective. All right. Next sentence. The criminal law was set in motion without any basis. Simple sentence. The criminal law, subject, was, linking verb, main verb, was set, adjective, in motion, prepositional phrase modifying the adjective, set, in motion, without any basis, prepositional phrase again, without any basis. It was initiated, some dots, right? It was initiated on some kind of fancy or notion. It was initiated, it was started. Now the writer is taking some pauses, on some kind of fancy or notion. All right. It had observed. It was initiated on some kind of fancy or notion. It had observed, right? The court had observed. It is rare in India. It is rare. It, pseudo subject, is rare, is main verb, linking verb, rare, adjective, subject, complement, in India, prepositional phrase, that Those falsely implicated or maliciously arrested, on grave charges get justice. This is rare in India. The police are given to using questionable methods. The police, subject of this sentence. The police are given, verb phrase in the passive voice. We're not talking about who gave them whatever, right? We're not talking about the doer of the action. The police are given what? To using questionable methods and treat the gravity of the charge, the importance of the charge, right? Seriousness of the charge. Treat what? Treat the gravity of the charge as something that necessitates stronger and more persuasive means of investigation. This is what the police are given, right? The police are given to using questionable methods and treat, right? They're given questionable methods and treat the gravity of the charge as something that, right? So this is an adjective clause that modifies the noun something. Okay, something. What is something? Something that necessitates stronger, that causes the necessity, that necessitates stronger and more persuasive means of investigation. That generates that, right? That necessitates stronger and more persuasive means of investigation. Okay, so it's again a complex sentence, right? Independent clause and then it is a dependent clause, right? So it's a combination of an independent clause and a dependent clause. Complex sentence. Just give me a second, guys. All right, we're about to finish it very soon. Okay, that Mr. Narayanan has succeeded in the battle for restoring his honor, to get his honor back, to restore his honor, that means to get his honor back. That Mr. Narayanan, it's very rare to start a sentence with a that clause. It's very rare, right? But yeah, you can do that. That Mr. Narayanan has succeeded, right, in the battle for restoring his honor is a matter of relief. You can also say it is a matter of relief that Mr. Narayanan has succeeded in the battle for restoring his honor, right? You can also say that, but again, this is fine too. That Mr. Narayanan has succeeded. Subject has succeeded. Verb phrase, succeeded in the battle. In the battle, prepositional phrase. Succeeded where? In the battle, at verb phrase, for restoring his honor. Battle, why? For restoring his honor, right? Succeeded in the battle for what? For restoring his honor is a matter of relief. So this is just a minute. That Mr. Narayan succeeded in the battle for restoring honor is a matter of relief, right? This entire thing is working as the subject, and this is the linking verb. Main verb is a matter of relief, right? A noun phrase is a matter of relief, and matter is the main noun, right? A pre-modifier, matter, main noun, of relief, preposition phrase, post modifier. But coordinating conjunction, that's why we have this comma. Matter of relief, comma, but it should be noted, its subject should be verb phrase noted. Okay, it should be noted that the Kerala government noted what? That the Kerala government has been resisting calls for disciplinary action against the erring police officers. Okay, so the subject of this clause is it. So the subject, it should be noted. Noted what? Object of the verb noted. Noted what? That the Kerala government has been resisting calls for disciplinary action against the erring police officers. So conjunction, subject of the noun clause, the Kerala government has been resisting, verb phrase, resisting what? Calls For what? For disciplinary action against the erring police officers. So this is a prepositional phrase modifying. Just give me a second. Has been resisting calls. Yeah, modifying the noun calls. Right. Calls for disciplinary action against the erring police officer. Right. The faulty police officers. Right. Against the police officers that are at the fault. Right. Okay, so this was a compound sentence. Let me clear everything and then we'll move to the last paragraph, which is a very small paragraph. And I'm just losing my voice, but it's fine. It's fine. I can do that. That's doable. Okay, last paragraph. It opposed the CBI's closure report. Right, the Kerala government, it opposed the CBI's closure report and tried to give life to the investigation. Right, revive to give strength or energy to the investigation by its own police. But thankfully, the effort was shot down by the Supreme Court. Okay, so again, it's a compound sentence, right? Combination of two clauses, two sentences. Number one, it opposed subject, opposed verb, opposed what? The CBI closure report and tried to revive the investigation by its own. So it has two predicates. Okay, opposed two things. Number one, the CBI's closure report, noun phrase, and tried to revive the investigation by its own. Try to revive, give life to the investigation, to give a new life to it, to strengthen it. It opposed this. Number one thing it did, the government, and tried to revive the investigation by its own, right? By its own police, sorry. But thankfully, but coordinating conjunction, thankfully adverb, but thankfully the effort, subject of the second clause, was shot down, verb phrase, shot down by the Supreme Court, right? By the Supreme Court. This sentence is in the passive voice. The effort was shot down by the Supreme Court, right? We're not focusing on the doer of the action, we're focusing on what was shot down, right? That is the receiver of the action. Okay. It would be in the fitness of things if there is no further impediment. It would be where, subject would be verb phrase, in the fitness of things, would be where, in the fitness of things, if, subordinate clause, if there is no further impediment to the CBI in proceeding with its investigation against the officers concerned. Again, and that the process of restorative justice leads to its logical conclusion. Okay. It would be in the fitness of things. It would be in the fitness of things. It would be the case under a particular situation, which is this, right? This subordinate clause works as a condition. It would be the fitness of things, right? When, if there is no further impediment, if there is no further impediment, something that stops something, stops the growth of something, right? If it is no further impediment to the CBI, right, to the CBI, in what? In proceeding with its investigation against what? Against the officers concerned. Officers concerned, talking about particular officers, right? Against the officers concerned officers, right? And that the process of restorative justice leads to its logical conclusion, right? So this subordinate clause has another subordinate clause in it, which is that the process of restorative justice, subject, see, this is the second subordinate clause and this is the subordinating conjunction. The process of restorative Justice is the subject of this clause. The process of restorative justice. Process is the main noun, pre-modifier, post-modifier of restorative, prepositional phrase, post-modifier modifying the noun process. The process of restorative justice leads verb, leads to what? Leads to its logical conclusion. To prepositional, its logical conclusion, noun phrase working as the object of this preposition. Okay, so that's it. That is it. And I just lost my voice. I am done, guys. I can't speak anymore. I'm done. Bye bye. Tata. So that is all about today's lesson, guys. Right. Hope you enjoyed this analysis, this breakdown. Hope you learned a lot of important things, how sentences are framed, right? Different phrases we use in sentences, right? How we form them, how we frame them. And if you guys enjoyed this lesson, learned something new today, do subscribe to the channel and share the lesson with others, with your friends, so that they can also be benefited from this. And if you have any questions, any query, do let me know in the comment section below. And I will see you guys very soon. Till then, keep learning, have fun. Oh, no, Scar.